68, the final.
Next on ACC Live Tip-Off, Joe Harris leads the Cavs to the big win over Duke, where that leaves both teams heading into March. Plus,
The Miami Hurricanes not only beat #1, they destroy #1.
there's no time for the Blue Devils to be disappointed. Miami is coming to Cameron tomorrow. We know what happened last time. And
Here's Washington. Throws it down. What a play!
DeQuan Jones versus Steve Francis. Voting came down to the final minutes. We announced the 8 dunks to advance to the quarterfinals as you get closer to deciding the best dunk in ACC history. ACC Live Tip-Off starts now. Welcome to ACC Live, and you know what? The #1 seed has advanced. Vince Carter's dunk moving into the next round of Dunkuary, vying for the title, the greatest dunk in ACC history. Who will he face? What are the other matchups? That's coming up. Remember, you decide the best dunk in ACC history. Go to the ACC.com/Dunkuary. You'll see Vince Carter right there and the 7 other dunks that are still alive, vying for the title, best in ACC history. Like I said, welcome to ACC Live. I'm Jeff Fischel. He's Mike Gminski. We're looking ahead to all the big weekend matchups in the conference, but we must start, Mike, with last night in Charlottesville. Joe Harris, a career night.
Well, it really was an amazing performance by him, and he's been carrying them offensively all year long, but you look at guys who step up in big games and have big games. Joe Harris, the night of his life last night, but I tell you what, he is a very well-respected player in the league, and he just really took it to Duke last night.
36 points. He also had 7 rebounds. Truly, Tony Bennett talking about how good he is as an all-around player, arguably the most unselfish player on the team. That's what Tony Bennett says.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that, and he really, I think he moved himself into the Player of the Year conversation last night, and you know, for that guy with that team, he's really having a special year.
So Joe Harris and the Virginia Cavaliers win big. And of course, after you win big these days, you know what happens next. The fans are coming onto the court. They storm it at JPJ. You know that's going to happen. What do you think of what's we're seeing so much now in college basketball?
Jeff, I'm not a big fan of it. I understand the exuberance, but I think in the situation you look at that, if an opposing player gets trapped in that, a lot of things could go wrong. I think there has to be an exit strategy. I like what the SEC does. They find the schools if the kids come on the court.
Coach K actually talked after the game about how dangerous it can be for his guys.
Yeah, I really think that in that situation you need an exit strategy to somehow, you know when there's a potential for this to happen at the end of a certain game, and this was an easy one to pick out, but there's got to be a way to get the coaches and the team off the court.
So Duke loses to Virginia. Just a few days ago, Miami lost to Wake Forest. It really seems to create a lot of question marks going into Greensboro for the ACC tournament.
Well, I think it compresses it a little bit, but I still think it's going to be a really competitive tournament. Miami, I think, is still, for me, the favorite, but not an overwhelming favorite. Duke right there, and North Carolina is playing extremely well.
No doubt. The Tar Heels are playing very well. We will look ahead to the Tar Heels, look at that Duke-Miami matchup. That's all coming up. But right now, I want to get right into Dunkuary. Deciding the best dunk in ACC history this morning. Voting closed on the round of 16. We are now down to 8. I'm about to show you the winners and the quarterfinal matchups, and voting, it's starting today. If you want to vote on which dunk should be in the last 4, go to the ACC.com/Dunkuary. Vote over the weekend. We announce the winners Monday. Now, I told you, Vince Carter, the #1 seed, he's into the quarterfinals. So he faces the winner of the 8-9 matchup, and it's Jeff Teague beating Clemson's KJ McDaniels. McDaniels got a ton of views in the early round, but Jeff Teague comes through with this dunk. It's a great one.
Well, not only that, he sheds his defender, but then goes up over a big who's coming over from the weak side to help. I mean, this is an impressive dunk for a guard.
So that's Teague, and he's got to go up against Vince Carter. No easy task. Vince Carter over 2 Clemson defenders who basically give up when they jump in the air and realize Vince Carter is just going to take this and I have no shot.
Hey, if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man.
So Teague versus Carter. Does Teague have any chance with the fans against Vince Carter?
He's got a chance. He's in it, but I like Vince Carter right now. I mean, that was just sick. In a set out of bounds play, going over a couple of defenders, that's going to be tough to beat.
No doubt. All right, the next quarter of the bracket, our 4-13 matchup was ridiculously close. Came down to the final minutes of voting. Miami's DeQuan Jones beat Maryland's Steve Francis. Jones, another ridiculous dunk. It got 50.2% of the vote. Francis 49.8%. So it's Daquan versus Ishmael Muhammad. These are both fantastic. First, Daquan Jones against Carolina.
Well, the degree of difficulty is unbelievable in this one, and going up underneath reminds me of Jerry Stackhouse's dunk at Cameron, so kind of fitting that this one was at North Carolina.
So that's Daquan Jones going up against Ishmael Muhammad. Huge dunk. He's known as a power dunker, and he really brought it against North Carolina State.
No, really, again, a nice spin move here, getting past the defender, and then going over, literally over Engin Atzur.
It seemed like a good idea, the charge did. Atzur was there in position, and he realized there's not going to be a charge because he's going to jump right over me.
Yeah, no, and Muhammad was a guy who really provided a lot of energy at Georgia Tech with those types of plays.
So that's another quarterfinal matchup. You have Daquan Jones versus Ishmael Muhammad. Okay, the other half of the bracket, and Michael Jordan moves on to the round of 8. Jordan defeated BC's Corey Raji. Jordan's Rock the Cradle, an all-time classic. And who does he face? Virginia Tech's Deron Washington. These are both great. Jordan, it's a classic, the Rock the Cradle, all alone on the breakaway in the final seconds in 1984 against Maryland.
Yeah, see, there's a Maryland player who fell down. I think he just didn't want to be in the picture on this one, but kind of classic Michael Jordan, the Air Jordan dunk, but I've been dunked on by him plenty, and that's an average dunk for Michael Jordan. I'm sorry. I've seen better. I've been dunked on by better.
If we're starting a line for NBA players who've been dunked on by Jordan, it's a long line, and Mike Gminski's right there.
And I'm not in it, but there's some Hall of Famers in that line in it too.
So he's going against Deron Washington, which is one of the most impressive dunks you will see as well. He goes so high flying against Georgia Tech, he's staring down at the rim and throws the ball down.
This reminds me, Jeff, of Blake Griffin. And this was Blake Griffin before there was Blake Griffin. I mean, he just is an amazing athlete, and he takes off from outside the line and gets level with the rim.
When I watch this dunk, I just find myself sitting, staring, and not saying any words because it stuns me.
Well, I think that's what the defender was doing in that situation too, just staring without words as he was getting put in the poster.
So who do you think wins, Deron or Jordan?
I tell you what, it's going to be tough to vote against history, but that Deron Washington dunk was tough. I don't think it wins, but I think that gets my vote.
Oh, here it is again, because we just want to keep watching it. He is staring.
Frame that up and put it on some kid's wall. That's excellent.
Oh my goodness. The last quarter of the bracket now. We go, okay, sure, why not? If you're going to keep showing it, I'm going to keep staring at it and watching.
Can't get enough Deron Washington.
The last quarter of the bracket, we go old school again. It's our second dunk from the 80s into the round of 8. Len Bias, the 10 seed, wins and moves on. I give the fans credit. And the other one, a surprise, the shocking upset of the first round. Mustafa Farrakhan beat the 2 seed Dante Jones. Push-ups. Mustafa Farrakhan beat push-ups. Let's look at these two dunks that are in the quarterfinals. Len Bias, what a classic moment. #1 team in the nation, North Carolina, Maryland in Chapel Hill, and Len Bias leads the upset over the #1 team in the country, and this is a classic moment of the final minutes.
That may be one of the great performances, period, in ACC history, and it also is the magnitude of the situation. He he hits a jump shot, steals the inbound, and then dunks reverse over a legitimate 7-footer in Warren Martin. That's quite a sequence.
Again, beating the #1 team in the country. And the other dunk, Mustafa Farrakhan, he upset Dante Jones push-ups with this dunk.
See, I love the push-ups, but this is like two bantamweights going at it. You know, I mean, you get excited about two guards, but you know, great play. Javi Gonzalez trying to get in there to make the stop, but it's going to be awfully tough to beat Len Bias.
So you're going with Len Bias, which could set up an all-old-school matchup in the semis, Len Bias versus Michael Jordan. But again, voting starts today. The round of 8. Go to the ACC.com/Dunkuary. Vote early. Vote often. Vote all weekend long. Polls close 9 a.m. Monday morning. We will announce the last 4 dunks to survive Monday at noon here on ACC Live. So again, if you go to the ACC.com/Dunkuary, you will see the bracket. That's how it looks right now. We've X'd out the guys who lost in the first round, unfortunately, including Gene Banks. Pushed for him every day. I'm sorry, Gene. I tried. I did. But, you know, for the last 2.5 weeks, I was pumping up Gene Banks and that dunk over Ralph Sampson. I can only do so much. Speaking of the weekend, and speaking of voting for dunks and the best plays you'll see in the ACC, let's take a look at the weekend. Tomorrow, Maryland, still with postseason hopes, at Wake.
Yeah, they need to run the table to get back in consideration for the tournament. Alex Len needs to step up big, and Devin Thomas continues to be terrific inside for Wake Forest.
Clemson may have found a perimeter scorer, Jordan Roper. The Tigers visit Virginia Tech.
Yeah, he's really been on a roll for them. A double-figure score over the last 5 or 6. They need that perimeter offense to work with their inside people. And C.J. Barksdale has stepped up and become a double-figure scorer as well to give Eric Allen a little help.
On Sunday, Carolina, they're rolling. The Tar Heels are at home versus Florida State.
Yeah, Okaro White has been their main guy inside, very consistent scorer, nice pump fake there, and against a smaller UNC team. And then Reggie Bullock has been terrific outside, but this team playing very well with P.J. Hairston coming into the lineup.
Virginia cannot afford a letdown after the Duke win visiting BC.
No, and this is where you validate those type of wins. And Akil Mitchell has been terrific. We talked about Joe Harris as a player of the year, and then Ryan Anderson. Again, it's amazing for him to be that consistent all season long for the Eagles.
Absolutely. And also Sunday, NC State at Georgia Tech.
Well, and Rodney Purvis is going to be a big part of what they do going on. Had a little bit of a swoon in the middle of the year, but seems to have broken out of that. They need his offense. And Georgia Tech, Marcus Hunt, always good at home, and this team very tough defensively at home.
Our spotlight game tomorrow, number 5 Miami, number 3 Duke. With the Blue Devils' loss last night, Miami has wrapped up at least a share of the regular season ACC title, so a win tomorrow would clinch it outright. We all remember what happened a few weeks ago when these teams met in South Florida.
They're doing anything they want. The Miami Hurricanes not only beat number 1, they destroy number 1.
Okay, Mike, so let's break down this matchup, starting outside and work our way in. Last time, Miami completely shut down Duke's perimeter game.
And that's usually a key to beating the Blue Devils and taking away their perimeter offense. And we'll take a look at what Miami did in that game. In the half-court set, they do a lot of drive and pitch, and you've got to be focused in on where shooters are, coming out on Suleiman, getting a hand up. And that's the key thing, is to challenge shots. And they even get another good look as a result of this, but Thornton unable to knock it down. And then also in transition, it's a big key to defend outside in. You've got to find these guys. Seth Curry rising up, but again, Miami, a nice job getting back, a challenge shot, and a miss. And, it was just a long night. For Duke, though, when back at home, they're going to get in a little bit of rhythm, and this is what they like to do, push the ball up the floor, one pass to an open look on the perimeter.
That game, the Miami big win over Duke, Seth Curry, Quinn Cook, Tyler Thornton, I think combined 1 for 29.
Yeah, no, it was a long night from their guards. It's something, again, that you don't expect in Cameron, but this is a very, very good defensive team in Miami.
So now let's move inside. We don't expect to see Ryan Kelly. He did dress last night, but what we've been told, at least, is that he won't be ready until Tuesday's game at the earliest. So without Kelly, Reggie Johnson, Julian Gamble, Kenny Kaji, that's a tough test for Mason Plumlee.
Yeah, it's a lot of bodies that they can throw at him, and it's and that's going to be a test for him. But this is what Miami's going to do. They're going to try to go out. Kenny Kaji can do a lot of things. He can put the ball on the floor, pressure you to defend. He can knock down to 3, so you have to pay attention to him out on the perimeter. And then Reggie Johnson into the mix. He's just a big body inside, can wear people down. I don't know that he's in great physical condition right now. And to that end, what Mason Plumlee has to do, get out in space in the open floor, run, finish at the rim, wear those guys down. It's going to be a long day for him, but if he continues to get out in space, it's going to be a good thing for Duke.
Now, of course, whenever a team goes to Cameron, there's one enormous advantage for Duke. The Crazies, they're loud, they're passionate, and if you ask the other team, often obnoxious. Miami has a ton of respect for the way those fans, the way they can get in the heads of the opponents and they can impact the game.
I had my first experience in Cameron Indoor Stadium in 1971. I brought my freshman team to Duke. I remember thinking, man, this is one heck of a place to play college basketball. And fans are up and rocking before the game even begins, even for the freshman game.
I remember I couldn't hear anything. It was so loud. And, you was taking the ball out of bounds, and they were, like, almost touching you. It's so small, and there's so many students. You can hear what they say and everything that goes on outside the court. So it's a great feeling playing there.
I don't know if it's going to be a great feeling playing there with thousands right in their face, right? It has an impact on these guys, their performance.
Yeah, no question, Jeff. And I think the thing that's going to be interesting is that it may not be as intense as North Carolina, but I think this is the next big rivalry for Duke and this team, especially the way that Miami's playing. And they're ahead of them in the schedule right now, so it is going to be very intense in that building.
Now, one thing the Crazies won't forget is last time in Miami, Warren Sapp egged on the Hurricane players to slap the floor like Duke players are known to do. And Warren Sapp's going to be there, right?
Yeah, he's going to be right in the visitors section, which was right behind the visitors bench, and I'm sure he's not going to fear anybody, but it's going to be interesting to see what kind of taunts the Crazies have for Mr. Sapp.
They have a way of coming up with some clever taunts, that's for sure. That is our spotlight game. Now Mike has been looking over all of these weekend matchups. He's ready to make his picks, but does he know more than the game simulator? It's man versus machine versus the fans too. That's next on ACC Live Tip-Off.
Out with the old and in with the delicious. Commit to bold taste with the new Flavor Resolutions menu at Ruby Tuesday. 10 entrees starting at $9.99. Try our savory barbecue brushed ribs and bacon wrapped shrimp. Or take it up a notch by adding coconut crusted shrimp to our mango salsa topped Caribbean chicken. Plus, enjoy our endless garden bar, free with any chef inspired entree. Ruby Tuesday. It's all good here. Start the new year with savings. Visit rubytuesday.com today for a $5 coupon.
What's better, bigger or smaller?
Bigger!
So which would you rather have, a big treehouse or a small treehouse?
If it's big enough, you can have a disco. Oh, yeah.
Why do you not want a smaller treehouse?
Because it wouldn't be able to fit a flat screen TV, and then the TV would be about this big, and you would have to hold the wire. In the position you would hold the wire, you wouldn't be able to see the TV.
That's a pain in the buns.
Yep. Yeah.
It's not complicated. Bigger is better, and AT&T has the nation's largest 4G network.
The ACC Digital Network, the ultimate video destination for ACC fans. Exclusive highlights, live streaming games, and original live programming, unique access to the student athletes of our time and the legendary voices of all time. Defining moments, personal stories, incredible analysis from authentic ACC sources, cutting-edge content from the leaders in the digital space. The ACC Digital Network, brought to you by Ruby Tuesday.
Good afternoon, Chase Sapphire. This is Stacy from Springfield.
Oh,
hello.
Yes, I didn't realize you'd be talking to an actual person.
You don't need to press 0. I'm here.
Reach a person, not a prompt, whenever you call Chase Sapphire.
This Dunk of the Day brought to you by Ruby Tuesday.
Evans bounces out. Mitchell with the slam. Goodness gracious.
Keely Mitchell with the screen. And because Plumlee has to help, great roll, great delivery, and the finish at the rim.
Start the new year with savings. Visit rubytuesday.com to get $5 off 2 entrees.
Welcome back to ACC Live Tip-Off. I'm Jeff Fischel. He's Duke and NBA great Mike Gminski. Akil Mitchell with our Dunk of the Day. And, of course, right now we're in the middle of Dunkuary. What is the best dunk in ACC history? You vote. You decide. We are down to our final 8 dunks. Vince Carter versus Jeff Teague. Ishmael Muhammad versus Daquan Jones. Michael Jordan versus Deron Washington. Len Bias versus Mustafa Farrakhan. Open another tab right now and you can vote today. The ACC.com/Dunkuary. That's where you'll see the entire bracket. You'll see what was our Sweet 16. We are down to the final 8. We will announce the champ on March 11th. Let's get to other stories making headlines from around the conference. This is the ACC Now. North Carolina got its 20th win last night, beating Clemson 68-59. 5 Tar Heels scored in double figures, led by Dexter Strickland with 16. Reggie Bullock, a nice game. 12 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. It's the 23rd 20-win season for Roy Williams in his 25 years as a head coach. Women's hoops last night. Great night. Huge upset. Duke lost in conference for the first time going down to Miami. The Blue Devils are now 26-2. Maryland made a huge final minute comeback in the final few minutes, but came up short to Florida State. Sylvia Hatchell got a nice birthday present, a Tar Heels win. Clemson and South Carolina start a very unique 3-game baseball series tonight. Each game is at a different stadium. Tonight they play at Clemson. Tomorrow they play in Greenville. Then Sunday, the Gamecocks get a home game. The Tigers are 5-2 early on. South Carolina is 6-1. The Florida State men's swim team set 2 meet records and won 3 events last night at the ACC Championship in Greensboro, but Virginia still holds the overall lead. Virginia Tech is second. The championships continue tonight and tomorrow, and you can watch them live on the ACCDN.com starting at 7 p.m., and that's the ACC Now. Okay, it's time for the G-Man versus the fans versus the machine. And the computer closed the gap on you just a bit last week.
Yeah, games are getting a little tougher to pick, so I'm a little conflicted with some of these, but still holding a lead.
Here are the overall standings. Mike Gminski, 26-7, a 3-game lead on SCACCHoops.com. If you don't know SCACCHoops.com, it's a great website. Great stats from John Pence, friend of the show. He's the editor and creator of SCACCHoops.com, and his game simulator can figure out any matchup you want in all of college basketball. The fans trailing even the computer and Mike Gminski. So here you go. Let's take a look at what's happening this weekend. Maryland, Wake Forest, a little bit of disagreement there, but let's focus right in on the Duke-Miami game. You like the Blue Devils, so does the computer.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough turnaround for Virginia, but they're going to come back and play well, and they're going to be highly motivated in that game.
So the fans, though, still like Miami. You know, they're college kids. The fans are voting for the most part. They can get passionate about things. They can make some choices that you might question, but hey, no doubt you can't question Miami the way they played this year. Here's the other 3 games from this weekend. Everyone agrees. North Carolina over Florida State, UVA over Boston College, NC State over Georgia Tech. Any of those would be an upset if those teams don't win.
No question about it. And a little boring there. I want to see some disagreement among the moves, but that's where at least we're on the same page.
That's how it goes. So that's this weekend, and again, we're closing in on the end of the ACC regular season, and you've built yourself a 3-game lead, which at this point looks pretty safe because I believe there are only 1, perhaps 2 disagreements this week.
I think there was that 1.
Yeah. So there you go. So Mike Gminski protecting his lead. 4 corners.
Going chalk. Going chalk.
All right. Our closing number is 30. That's the number of ACC wrestlers who will compete in the NCAA championships. It's the most the conference has ever gotten in, and there will be multiple ACC wrestlers in 9 of the 10 weight classes. So congrats to all 30 wrestlers headed to the NCAAs. Go vote for the best dunk in ACC history. The ACC.com/Dunkuary. We are down to 8. Thanks for watching ACC Live on the ACC Digital Network, brought to you by Ruby Tuesday.